The second largest contributor to death. Researchers estimate the number of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease could reach 16 million. State lawmakers are learning how to save lives this morning.
1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's disease. Not 1 in 10, not 1 in 20, 1 in 3. And here is what makes this number truly frightening. Alzheimer's does not start the day you forget your keys. It starts silently 10 to 20 years before any obvious memory loss appears. During those years, while everything seems fine, the brain is already changing. Plaques are forming. Connections are breaking. But here is what most families do not know. There are 7 specific signs that appear years, sometimes decades before diagnosis. Subtle signs. Easy to miss, easy to dismiss as normal aging. They are not normal aging. Today, I am going to show you all 7. Because the earlier you catch this, the more you can do about it. Let's get into it. Before the 7 signs, why does catching this early matter so much? Because Alzheimer's has a window. In the early stages, before significant damage, lifestyle interventions can slow progression dramatically. Some studies show up to 35% slower decline with specific habits started early. Medications work better earlier. Planning becomes possible. Quality of life is preserved longer. But most families miss the window because they do not know what to look for. After this video, you will. 7 early signs of Alzheimer's. These are not the obvious ones. These are the subtle ones, the ones that appear years before diagnosis. Sign 1, asking the same question repeatedly. Not once, not twice. The same question, minutes apart. The same story, told 3 times in one conversation. Occasional forgetfulness is normal aging. Repetitive questioning. Same words, same story, is not. This is one of the earliest and most consistent signs doctors look for. Sign 2, getting lost in familiar places. Not getting lost in a new city. Getting confused driving home from the grocery store they have visited for 20 years. Taking a wrong turn on a route they know perfectly. Spatial disorientation in familiar environments is a red flag that something is changing in the brain. Sign 3, trouble finding words, but not the ones you think. Everyone occasionally forgets a word. That is normal. This sign is different. It is when someone stops mid-sentence, cannot find a simple common word, and substitutes a description. Instead of telephone, they say that thing you talk into. Instead of chair, the sitting thing. Language substitution for common objects, happening regularly, is an early sign. Sign 4, withdrawal from social activities. This one is frequently missed because it looks like depression or shyness, or simply getting older and preferring quiet. But a person who was previously social, who suddenly avoids gatherings, stops calling friends, withdraws from hobbies they loved, may be withdrawing because they are struggling to keep up with conversations. The brain is working so hard just to function that social interaction becomes exhausting. Watch for withdrawal that is sudden and unexplained. Sign 5, poor judgment and decision-making. This is one of the most concerning early signs, and one of the most dangerous. Giving large amounts of money to strangers, falling for obvious scams, making financial decisions that make no sense, wearing completely inappropriate clothing for the weather. The part of the brain that handles judgment and decision-making is affected early in Alzheimer's. This is why seniors with early dementia are disproportionately targeted by financial fraud. If someone you love is making decisions that seem completely out of character, take it seriously. Sign 6, difficulty with familiar tasks. Not new tasks, familiar ones. Someone who has cooked the same recipe for 30 years suddenly cannot remember the steps. Someone who has managed their own finances for decades suddenly cannot balance a checkbook. When well-practiced automatic tasks start requiring conscious effort and still go wrong. This is a meaningful change worth noting. Sign 7, changes in mood and personality. This is the sign families most often attribute to something else. Stress, tiredness, old age, but sudden or gradual personality changes, becoming suspicious when they were trusting. anxious when they were calm, angry when they were gentle, can reflect changes happening in the brain. Specifically, the areas of the brain that regulate emotion and personality are affected in early Alzheimer's. If someone's personality has shifted and you cannot explain why, it is worth a conversation with their doctor. If you recognize one or more of these signs in yourself or someone you love, here is exactly what to do. First, do not panic and do not ignore it. These signs do not confirm Alzheimer's. Many conditions cause similar symptoms: thyroid problems, vitamin B12 deficiency, depression, medication side effects. Some of these are completely reversible. Second, see a doctor. This week, if possible. Ask for a cognitive assessment. It is a simple test. It takes about 10 minutes, and it gives you a baseline, something to compare against. Third, start these 3 habits today. Regardless of what the assessment shows, regular physical exercise, especially walking. Studies show it reduces Alzheimer's risk by up to 35%. Quality sleep, 7 to 8 hours. During sleep, your brain literally flushes out the toxic proteins linked to Alzheimer's. Social connection. Regular, meaningful conversation. Isolation is one of the strongest risk factors for cognitive decline. These 3 habits started today are the most evidence-based things anyone over 60 can do for their brain health. 7 early signs of Alzheimer's that appear years before diagnosis. 1. Asking the same question repeatedly. 2. Getting lost in familiar places. 3. Trouble finding common words. 4. Withdrawal from social activities. 5. Poor judgment and decision-making. 6. Difficulty with familiar tasks. 7. Changes in mood and personality. Your one action from today: share this video with your family. Right now before you close it. Because the person who needs to see this will not search for it themselves. But you can make sure they see it. Subscribe to Vital Years for a new video every week. See you next week.